obviously you guys know this song, right? Written by the amazing and everlasting band from the Great Isles in Ireland. And you know, if you guys don't know who U2 is, please do yourself a favor and listen to their albums, especially the early 90s ones. And Bono makes no, like, he's not shy to share his faith. One of the coolest things about him is that he's very, very, like, very in tune with his God, his Savior. And so he absolutely doesn't shy away from talking about his faith. And it's actually, a lot of his lyrics are written as a inspiration from the Bible, actually. And so it's really fantastic. I mean, it's pretty awesome for him to hear that from an artist like that, right? That isn't ashamed to talk about that. And so if you're not familiar with this particular song, right, this is a reference to heaven, right, where the streets have no names, right? And so it's a really, really gorgeous lyric, because, you know, no matter what you have done, and no matter what the situation is, no matter how much pain you've endured on earth, right, if you follow Christ, right, and if you give yourself to him, then, like, all of these deeds and all of these wrongdoings that have been caused in your life, you know, it doesn't matter anymore, because you will be renewed, right? You'll be restored, and therefore you'll be in the presence of the Heavenly Father, and therefore you will have and be in a heaven that has no name, right? No streets that have names, basically. And so there's something really interesting about that idea, by the way, right? Like, why is that such a metaphor? Why is that such a metaphor for something as what we call heaven, right? So if you guys have been following me for a while, I've been talking about, like, how the naming something is an act of possession, right? And this is where the Greek word for nomos comes in, right? If you don't know what nomos means, it means to name. But it's not just naming, but it's also to identify. And when you identify something, you define it. And when you define something, then you limit it. And if you limit it, then it cannot be anything else. It cannot grow. It cannot be anything else. And so that's in many ways, that's kind of like, in retrospect, that's kind of like how we actually see how we as human beings, we give ourselves a name, right? But if you think about it, do names really, like, I'm going to be very, like, careful with this philosophical thought here, but, like, you know, obviously names are important and they do add some identity to you, but are they so important that you can't be the same person you are without your name? Does that make sense? Right? Because once again, nomos is an act that comes from a human being, and when we name things, we take possession of it. And so if you really, really, like, truly step back and realize that all the stuff that's in this earth, we really don't own it. We really don't. Nothing on this earth is ours. We may think it is, right? Because we are so used to, like, owning a house, for example. And by all means, I think those are, like, good things to have and own. But in the end, what happens to these, right? I mean, I'm sure they might get passed down to your children, right? And as an inheritance, but so what? Like, what's really the point of accumulating material and owning things? Do they go with you in the afterlife? No, of course not, right? Even if you don't believe in Christ, if you don't believe in God, whatever it is that you believe in, nothing goes in the far beyond, nothing. So we spend so much time on, like, accumulating things and naming things for what, right? Are you gonna take it with you? No, of course not. Now, some of my counter arguments here, some of my opponents will say, well, you're being irresponsible because, you know, if you have children, you should, like, watch over them and make sure that their future is secure. Sure, you're right. But you know what? I would rather much secure where their heart is in terms of morals and moral standards and ethics. Like, I'd rather they have this in a secure place than actually have, like, this stable house or whatever, right? those things come in hand when you have a stable place, right? This is the whole point of having like nomos and logos and ethos, right? Like all those three are actually integrated together. You can't have a house if your character isn't stable, and you can't have character if you don't have a stable place. So one integrates with the other, and it's a natural progression of the other. You understand? And there's your lesson for tonight. You're welcome. I'm gonna drink my chocolate milk now. By the way, I was made fun of by a really great friend of mine because the type of chocolate milk that I drink is Ovaltine, which is a very old, powdered chocolate, because it has like a lot of like vitamins in it. And so I was made fun of. But you know what? Look at this. Who else looks like this at this age? Nobody. I apologize. I know that sounds a little conceited. I promise I'm very humble. But sometimes you just gotta stick it back to them, right? Drink your Ovaltine, y'all. And by the way, if there's a sponsor or if there's an agent that works for Ovaltine, I totally will love to be sponsored by y'all, because I love Ovaltine. I really do. I drink it every night before I go to bed, and I will definitely go out of my way to be its proponent and tell kids to drink it, because it's so good for you. Okay, so many vitamins in it, and it tastes so good, right? Come on, y'all. Ovaltine, give me your sponsorship. I'm gonna tell how many people it takes to drink Ovaltine. Even the lactose intolerant people. I'm just kidding, y'all. Those of you who are lactose intolerant, my sympathies. But if you can drink milk, just put some Ovaltine in it, man. Come on, it's so healthy for you. It's so good for you. This is the J. Roland Podcast. Thank you so much, y'all, for being here. I hope you're having a wonderful time. And as I always say, guys, seriously, just enjoy some good, wholesome content. This place is truly a place where you don't have to question what we talk about here. It's truly a wholesome place. You don't have to agree with everything that's spoken here, but there will never be any subjective or questionable content. So I want to make this place where anybody can listen to this, and even possibly your children. I know there's a couple of followers that follow me that they do let some of their kids listen to this, and so I'm very humbled by that, and I strive to make this place a place that is very, very clean and just really a really wholesome place, right? So anyway, I just want to say thank you to all of you for just being avid followers, and I hope that you guys are continuing to listen to the podcast. And I know this sounds like a broken record at this point, but seriously, if you don't follow me on my platform on Spotify, please consider following me there. It's such a great platform. A lot of the stuff that I talk about here is also on Spotify, but there's also content on Spotify that I don't put on my TikTok account. And so if you want to enjoy that, please consider following and subscribing. It's a great place. I put so much effort into that area than I do on this one, believe it or not. So thank you so much for being great followers, y'all. All right, guys. We're getting ready to change the track here, and we're going to go back to our regular scheduled process of reading poems. So I hope you guys are going to be enjoying this next half of the show. All right? Give me a few seconds while I switch up the soundtrack, and we will get started momentarily. All right? All right, guys. Here we go. All right. Let's slow things down now. And I want to read some poems that are somewhat random, but they have a similar tone. They don't all necessarily talk about love. They don't all necessarily talk about sadness. Some of them talk about more inspirational aspects of life. Some of them talk about nature. And some of them talk about faith. And so, whatever it is that you're more interested in, there'll be something here for you, right? So tonight I don't really have a theme. I just want to read some poems that sound lovely. Some of these you've heard before, some of them I hope you maybe didn't hear before, but whatever it is, I just want to prepare you and hopefully just allow your mind to take heed of some of these words, right? And allow your heart to also let these words also plant a seed in you that will spring into this magnificent flower hopefully one day, right? So anyway, all right guys, all right, give me 1 second. All right. All right, guys, here we go. So I'm going to read sonnet number 41. This is written by Pablo Neruda, and I'm going to read it in Spanish first, followed by the English. All right, here we go. Desdichas del mes de enero, cuando el indiferente mediodía establece su ecuación en el cielo. Un oro duro como el vino de una copa colmada, llena de la que agruparon verde amargo, confusas, escondidas lágrimas de los días hasta que la intemperie publicó sus racimos. Sí, gérmenes, dolores, todo lo que palpita aterrado a la luz crepitante de enero, madurará y arderá como ardieron los frutos. Divididos serán las pesares, el alma dará un golpe de viento y la morada quedará limpia con el pan fresco en la mesa. Misfortunes of the month of January. When indifferent noon establishes its equation in the sky, a solid gold like wine in an overflowing glass fills the earth to its blue limits. Misfortunes of this time appearing like tiny grapes that bunch together in green bitterness, confused and secret tears of the days, until the elements divulge their clusters. Yes, seeds, grief, everything that pulses, terrified in the crackling light of January, will ripen, ferment as the fruit ferments. The sorrows will be divided, and the soul give a gasp of air, and the dwelling place will be left clean with fresh made bread on the table. So this is one of the few poems where Neruda actually focuses on the actual fermentation process of winemaking. Of course, all of y'all know that Chile is well known for its wine, right? We are world class. And so vineyards are a integral part of the culture. That doesn't mean that everybody grows wine. Let me make that clear. But the idea here is that Neruda is describing the soul of a Chilean, which also includes their cultural habits, the mentality. Chilean people are very critical of themselves, and I'm sure many cultures are like that, but they're very critical. Case in point, let me prove you just a small little example here. When it comes to soccer, for example, in Argentina, when kids play soccer, and let's say the ball rolls into a neighbor's yard, no matter how old or how young the neighbor is, they will go out of their way to make sure that the ball is given back to the children so they can continue to play. And they motivate them, they congratulate them, they call them, hey pibe, anda a jugar, right? So it's go play, right? So Argentinians are very pro oriented in soccer. But when it comes to Chilean mentality, if that were to happen, most people would be upset. It's hey, go play somewhere else. Stop playing in my yard. And that's the mentality, right? They're very critical, right? And don't get me wrong, it's not like that for every aspect of life, but Chilean people are very critical. And they're very critical of their own talent, which is very sad, because there's so much talent in Chile. And what's interesting, sort of just to round up that example, about 10 years ago, it took an Argentinian coach to finally basically get it in Chilean mind, in the mind, to make us believe that we were actually good, talented. And it took one Argentinian coach to change that mentality. And because of that one guy, one Argentinian coach, the entire mentality of Chilean soccer is now different. It's very offensive, right? Very forward thinking. But before that, it was never like that. All right, back to the poem. So what's the point here? Well, Neruda's describing this fermentation process. And as I said, Chilean people are very critical of themselves. And so he kind of equates this idea of Chilean culture and the cynicism behind it as this kind of distasteful rot, right? Distasteful rotting of culture, distasteful rotting of habits, distasteful rotting of just the mentality itself. And so if you've ever gone to a vineyard, some of the best grapes actually are the ones that are actually about to rot. They actually have the most sort of savory flavors in it. And so here is Pablo Neruda trying to let us know that, hey, look, these grapes, they might look sour and they might look bent and bruised, but this is the best time to harvest them because they make the best wines. And so that's what he's saying here is that same idea that you might think of yourself as being spent. You might think of yourself as being, useless. You might think of yourself as nobody's gonna think I'm worth anything or attractive, or who's gonna be plucking this bent, bruised grape, right? But as I said, those are the best types of grapes for fermentation process, right? In order to ferment it into wine. And so it's a very simple message. But I ask all of you the same. How many times have you thought yourself that, hey, I'm not worth something. I'm not worth a lick of whatever. Right? We're so critical on ourselves. You know? And especially this, I have to say this, guys. I've heard way too many people, especially at my age. I've heard way too many, or at least like people a little bit older than me. I've heard way too many people like be so critical about like themselves. Yeah, it's, oh yeah, no, I'm 45 and I can't do this or that. Stop it. This is a mindset. The reason why you think you can't is because you already gave up. All right, like if you actually take care of your body, you eat well, you sleep well, you drink well, your body actually can be in its peak. And it's gonna look so great, truly. Stop filling it with garbage, things that are hurtful, right? And especially here, like in your heart, stop feeding it garbage. This is one of the reasons why I do these like lives, because I want to produce wholesome content. All right? I know for a fact that there's lots of other stuff out there to watch. If you want to watch that, go ahead, that's fine. But don't be surprised if you feel like you wasted your time, you know, because you probably did. All right, I'm not saying this place is gonna like save your life. I'm not guaranteeing that whatsoever. But I just want to remind you that like you are absolutely worth every single minute, every single breath, every single food source that grows on this world. This is for you. Enjoy it. Understand it, study it, and consume good things. In every sense, the literal and the metaphorical. Consume good things in the literal sense and the metaphorical sense. And be very careful, okay? Be very careful with not allowing this idea of self-love being egocentric. Be very careful with that. It's okay to take care of yourself, okay? That sort of like conscientiousness of yourself is good and it's healthy. But be very careful with like making it egocentric, okay? Because you're allowing your ego to live in this ivory tower. And we all know what ego does, okay? It's gonna backfire on you. And it's going to make you very prideful. By the time you are hurt by someone or something, trust me, your ego is going to deceive you. And it's going to make you think that there's no restoration and there's no room for any type of mercy and forgiveness. That's where you need to be careful. If you really want to like be caring of yourself, learn to be merciful. Truly, learn to be merciful. Learn to be humble. Learn to know when you need to be quiet. Truly, I know that's a hard thing to do, and I'm not making light of it. Okay? Learn to know when you need to speak up and when you just need to like keep the peace. And if it means letting the other person just blurt out whatever they want to blurt out, let them blurt out. Sooner or later, they're gonna run out of things to say. And when that happens, not if, when that happens, then you can approach them and say, hey, look, I don't know what's going on in your heart, and I'm not here to change it. I just want to let you know I'm ready to talk now. When you are, it's gonna be all right. We don't have to come to an agreement, but I'm here to listen. So whatever problem you have against me, tell me. Put your ego aside. Take care of yourself. But don't turn it into an egocentric mentality. Okay? All right. That was poem number 1. I'll drink to that. Aye. I'm telling you, Ovaltine, it's where it's at, y'all. By the way, if one of you buys Ovaltine the next few days, can you let me know? Like in the next live? I would really want to know how much influence I can have on people in terms of getting Ovaltine. I'm not kidding. If there's some agent that works for Ovaltine right now and listens to this, like, I so want to be sponsored by you. Like, for real, man. You know? Even if it means like getting like a really small paycheck from you, I don't care. Like, I love Ovaltine, man. Oh man. All right. Shall we go to the next one? This is the J. Roldan Speaks podcast. This is so fun, you guys. Come on, give me some likes here. I hope you guys having a good time. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. I really have a dream to like maybe go full time, but right now it's just not possible. But you know, you never know. Anyway. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? All right. All right. Let's read another Neruda poem. This is sonnet number... What is this? 41 or 51? Let me see. Yes, sonnet number 51. Oh, wait, this track is good for another one, but I'll come back to this one. Let me fast forward. All right. Tu risa pertenece a un árbol entreabierto por un rayo, por un relámpago plateado. Que desde el cielo cae quebrándose en la copa, partiendo en dos el árbol con una sola espada. Solo en las tierras altas del follaje con nieve nace una risa como la tuya. Bien amante, es la risa del aire desatado en la altura. Costumbres de araucaria, bien amada. Cordillerana mía, chianaje evidente, corta con los cuchillos de tu risa la sombra, la noche, la mañana, la miel del mediodía, y que salten en el cielo las aves del follaje cuando como una luz derrochadora rompe tu risa, el árbol de la vida. Muñeca mía. Uf, qué lindo, qué lindo. Ay, qué lindo. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, English translation right here. You guys ready? This is sonnet number 51 by Neruda. And your laughter belongs to a tree cracked open by a lightning bolt, by silver lightning that falls from the sky, breaking into a cup, splitting splitting the tree in two with a single word. Sword. And only in the highlands of the snowy foliage is born a laughter like yours, my darling. It is the laughter of air freed in the heights, the customs of Araucaria, my beloved, my Cordillera vividly clear. The shadows are cut with the knives of your laughter, the night and the morning midday honey. And may the birds from the foliage leap to the sky when, like a squandering light, your laughter shatters the tree of life. You know, I'm sure many of you had this experience before. But for me, one of the lingering memories I have of the people that I was with, friends, current friends, former friends, past loves, and it's the laughter. I actually have a harder time letting those go. And not because I'm bitter or anything like that, but I still remember them vividly. I remember this one person that I really, really just was madly in love with. I remember what she looked like. I remember what she was wearing. I remember where she was the last time I made her laugh. There's something so majestic and magical about laughter. And of course, you guys have heard of the studies of the importance of laughing, right? Like, it's a healthy part of everyday life, really. But when it's associated with someone that you love, it's even better. You know, like, sometimes guys live for the moment to make their woman laugh. Truly. I don't consider myself a comical guy. Believe it or not, I actually have brothers that are much more funnier than me. Truly. I'm actually the quiet one. For real. I'm actually the quiet one. But I still have a sense of humor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that I'm like, I don't know how to make jokes and laugh at good, funny jokes, right? Like, that's not the problem. I'm just not a natural, jokester. But I am witty, okay? I just want to say that. I am witty. But all I'm trying to say is, as much as I enjoy having these meaningful conversations with the people that I love, right? And especially the woman that I love, I live for those moments where I just sort of catch her off guard and I say something that's actually funny and she just breaks up in laughter, you know what I mean? And so it's that right there is man, score one for the good guys. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I scored something, you know, like a World Cup goal or something. That's how wonderful it feels, you know? And so when I read this poem by Neruda, right? This idea of a laughter, right? Equating it to something so powerful that it slices a tree in two, right? An actual metaphor of the power of a laughing woman. almost like an equivalent of something that is so celestial, that is just so powerful that, like, if it ever comes to Earth, this Earth can't handle something as celestial as that, right? Which is why he has this picture of this tree splitting in two, right? And that's also an act of, you know, power and authority that's actually stemming from the Old Testament, by the way, right? Every time God, for example, makes a decree or is upset or pleased with someone or a group of people, there's always a sign of something in nature or something that is related to a man-made object that will be cut and split. And so I would like to believe that Neruda had that same idea here, right? Something that the laughter of a woman is celestial in that respect. And so I tend to agree with that. I think there's something really magical about it, you know? This guy really thought about every aspect of what makes a woman. I think that's why he's so fantastic, you know? It's like he studied y'all like for a long time. It's amazing, you know? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. But nothing tops Ovaltine, man. Just saying. Come on, that was funny. All right, you guys want another one? I think some of you guys are like, this guy's crazy with his Ovaltine. All right, what else do we got here? All right, so far so good. All right, how about sonnet number 52? Yeah, we're just gonna go down the line of sonnets here. All right. All right, so this is sonnet 52 by Neruda, sorry. Here we go. Cantas y a sol y a cielo con tu canto. Y tu voz desgrana el cereal del día. Hablan los pinos con su lengua verde. Y trinan todas las aves del invierno. El mar llena sus sótanos de pasos, de campanas, cadenas y gemidos. Tintinean metales y utensilios. Suenan las ruedas de la caravana, pero solo tu voz, escucho, y sube tu voz con vuelo y precisión. voz con gravedad de lluvia, y tu voz esparce altísimas espadas, y vuelve tu voz cargada de violetas, y luego me acompaña por el cielo. And you sing by sun and sky with your song. And your voice threshes the grain of the day, and the pine trees speak with their green language, and all the birds of winter trill. And the sea fills its cellars with dried fruits, with bells, chains, and moans. The metals and utensils clink, and the wheels of the caravan can be heard. But I only hear your voice. And your voice soars with the velocity and the precision of an arrow. And you lower your voice with the gravity of rain. And your voice scatters the mounting swords. And your voice returns full of violets. And then keeps me company through the sky. My darling, I thought of you. I felt a void in my heart. I swear, I think it skipped a beat from missing you. I still see your eyes at night, the way you looked at me, undeservedly. But your grace was kind enough to give me life. replaying how you gave me this wonderful warm embrace. It wasn't just with your arms, it was with your entire being and your soul, and it warmed every cell. I am not a beggar, but if I could just ask one thing from you, please, could you hug me once more? Even if you don't mean it. I long for you. More than you can hear my words express. No matter how you feel about me, I will always love you. And I will be true to you, and only you. And I have been. Please, feed me your kindness with your words to me. Just so I can know that you're okay. Please. This is the Jay Roldan podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is a great live. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. And this, sometimes, if you are new, sometimes we do something called an improv. So I hope you guys enjoy some of those. I sometimes riff off of some of these poems, right? In this case, it was Neruda. And so depending on the actual message of the poem, sometimes I riff off of it, right? So riffing means like you actually like basically are continuing, but you're putting your own spin to some of the words that have been written already, right? So you try to create something new sometimes. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I like to believe all mine work. but I'll admit sometimes they don't work. Anyways, guys, are you guys enjoying yourselves? This is a great live. We have a few minutes left before I have to go, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. And, well, I hope everything is going well for you on your end, okay? All right, should we do one more? Yes, one more? Okay. Since we've been doing Neruda poems, might as well just finish the night with another Neruda poem. And, of course, I have to go to... Actually, you know what? One second. Let's see. Okay, let's try this one out. All right, let's see if this one works. All right, so this is sonnet number, let's see, 74. This is sonnet number 74. And here we go. Spanish first, English next. All right? All right. De noche, amada, amarra tu corazón al mío, y que a ellos en el sueño derroten las tinieblas como un doble tambor, combatiendo en el bosque contra el espeso murro de las hojas mojadas. Nocturna travesía, brasa negra del sueño, interceptando el hilo de las uvas terrestres con la puntualidad de un tren descabellado que sombra y piedras frías sin cesar arrastrará. Por eso, amor, amarme el movimiento puro a la tenacidad que en tu pecho golpea con las alas de un cisne sumergido, para que a las preguntas estrelladas del cielo responda nuestro sueño con un solo llave, con una sola puerta cerrada por la sombra. Tie your love and your heart at night to mine, my love, and both will defeat the darkness like twin drums beating in the forest against the heavy wall of wet leaves, and night crossing black coal of dream that cuts the thread of earthly orbs with the punctuality of a headlong train that pulls cold stone and the shadowy endlessly. And love, because of it, tie me to a pure movement, to the grip on life that beats in your breast with the wings of a submerged swan, so that our dream might reply to the sky's questioning stars, the one key, one door closed to shadow. I'm going to end the live with the Song of Despair, of course. But I'm going to read this in English because if I read this twice, right? If I read it in Spanish and then English, it's just going to tear me up, man. So I'm just going to read this once. All right. Here we go. And the memory of you emerges from the night around me, and the river mingles its stubborn lament with the sea, deserted like the wharves at dawn, It is the hour of departure. O deserted one, cold flower heads are raining over my heart. O pit of debris, fierce cave of the shipwrecked, in you the wars and the flights accumulated, and from you the wings of the birds rose. And you swallowed everything like distance, like the sea, like time. In you everything sank. And it was the happy hour of assault and the kiss, and the hour of the spell that blazed like a lighthouse. And Pilate's dread fury of a blind diver, turbulent drunkenness of love, in you everything sank. It was the happy hour of assault, and the pilot, and the childhood of mist, my soul winged and wounded, lost discoverer. In you everything sank, and you girdled sorrow, and you clung to desire. Sadness stunned you. In you everything sank, and I made the wall of shadow draw back beyond desire and act, and I walked on. O flesh, my own flesh, woman whom I loved and lost, I summoned you in the moist hour, and I raise my song to you. Like a jar, you house the infinite tenderness, and the infinite oblivion shattered you like a jar. And there was this black solitude of the islands, and there, woman of love, your arms took me in, and there were thirst and hunger. Fruit, and there were grief and ruins, and you were the miracle. Woman, I do not know how you could contain me. In the earth of your soul, and the cross of your arms. Terrible and brief was my desire of you, and how drunken and difficult. And how tensed and avid. Cemetery kisses, there is still fire in your tombs, and still the fruited boughs burn, pecked at by birds. Oh, the bitten mouth. Oh, the kissed limbs. Oh, the hungering teeth. And oh, the unentwined bodies. The mad coupling of hope and force in which we merged and despaired. And the tenderness, light as water and as flower, and the word scarcely begun on the lips. And this was my destiny, and in it was the voyage of my longing, and in it my longing fell. In you everything sank. O pit of debris, everything fell into you. And what sorrow did you not express? In what sorrow are you not drowned? From billow to billow, you still called and sang. Standing like a sailor in the prow of a vessel, you still flowered in songs, and you still broke in currents. O pit of debris, open and bitter well. Pale, blind diver, luckless slinger, lost discoverer, in you everything sank. It is the hour of departure. The hard, cold hour which the night fastens to all the timetables. And the rustling belt of the sea girdles the shore, and cold stars heave up, blackbirds migrate, deserted like the dwarves at dawn, only tremulous shadow twists in my hand. Farther than everything, oh, farther than everything, it is the hour of departure. Oh, abandoned one. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Jay Roldan Podcast Speaks. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And whoa. Sorry, my bad. I want to say thank you for being here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night tomorrow. And don't forget, I have a Spotify account. Please go there after the show, look me up. It's called the Jay Roldan Speaks Podcast, and consider subscribing there. It's a great place. It's a great venue. Wholesome content as always, and content that doesn't get spoken or read on these TikToks. So you're not going to waste your time over there, right? So go over there, check it out, follow, subscribe. We're good. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Muchas gracias a ustedes, gracias por su sintonía. Espero que disfrutaron de esos poemas maravillosos de el gran poeta que llamamos Pablo Neruda, ¿cierto? Muchas gracias por su sintonía. Un gran abrazo para ustedes. Que Dios les bendiga, que Dios les guarde. Y si Dios quiere, nos vemos en la próxima, ¿cierto? As I always say, guys, this has been a privilege. If I don't see you again, just know that this is a lasting legacy that I want to leave for my family, my children, my children's children, and I hope that one day it inspires more people to search for truth, search for perfect love and peace. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.